Greetings, beautiful people. This is Sanchia, and I'm coming to you with another Transformation Tuesday. Right? Guess what today is? It is Transformation Tuesday. So it is wonderful. It is just truly great to be back. I have been on a 2 week hiatus, and I will blame that on the Mercury retrograde, along with me traveling and you know, as we're going to get into today, the Mercury retrograde or Mercury does rule travel and different things of that nature. So, with Mercury being in retrograde during those 2 weeks that I was away, it was very challenging for me to um, produce new content for Transformation Tuesdays. But here we are. I am happy and excited to be back. And I have a great video for you today. Today, I decided to talk about retrogrades, right? And what that really means, because at this time, we have um, actually during the year of 2023, we have 7 planets that will be in retrograde at some point or another. Right now, I would say we have probably 5. Um, of course, if you see me looking down, I'm referencing notes. However, just a little introduction. This Transformation Tuesday will be about retrogrades, and I'm going to do my best to talk about what a retrograde is and what is happening when a planet is in retrograde and how that may seem to or tend to affect us as individuals, because at this time when we look at retrogrades, it is said that the retrograde or retrogrades has an effect on a planetary level and on the collective. So we're gonna get all into it, and I'm gonna do my best to kind of dissect it all, right? So, um, to get started, we'll say that we just got out of the Venus retrograde. Um, Let me talk about first of all the planets that have been in retrograde or are currently in retrograde, right? So the planets that are in retrograde or just came out of retrograde, we have Venus. Venus just came out of its retrograde phase. Venus was in retrograde from um, July 22nd to September 3rd, and Venus was in retrograde in the sign of Leo. All right. We also have the Mercury retrograde, which we're just coming out of. Mercury was in retrograde from August 23rd to September 15th. Okay. Then we have Pluto that is currently in retrograde. Pluto's retrograde started on May 10th and it will be in retrograde until October 21st. We also have Saturn. Saturn has been in retrograde since about June 17th of 2023, and it will be in retrograde until November 3rd, 2023. We have Neptune, which has been in retrograde, which is currently in retrograde, and it has been in retrograde since June 30th. Wop, wop, wop. That's my birthday. Woohoo. I don't know if Neptune being in retrograde is a great thing, but we're just going to celebrate the day, June 30th. That's an awesome day. Anyway, back to it. June 30th to December 5th, we have Jupiter that that has been in retrograde. Actually, Jupiter just went into retrograde again, and it will be in retrograde. I mean, it started its retrograde on September 4th, and it will go direct on December 30th. And we also have wonderful Uranus, all right, the planet of unpredictability that has been in retrograde since August 28th, and it will be in retrograde until January 26th. All right. So let's first talk about what is a retrograde. What does it mean when a planet is in retrograde, right? When a planet is in retrograde, that is used to describe the backward motion of a planet, right? Now, the planet is not actually going backwards, it's not physically going backwards. However, it is a seeming pattern that the planet is going backwards. So, meaning that retrograding planets only appear to be moving in the reverse or appear to be moving backwards as we view them from the perspective of the earth, right? However, they're not physically and actually going backwards. Is just that from our perspective, from this planet, from the earth, these planets seem to be going backwards. And, you know, like I said, most astrologers do believe that this shift affects the human collective as well as the solar system or the planetary collective as far as that goes, right? So, I think I have what I consider one of the best analogies for describing a retrograde, right? I got this from my great astrologist, a wonderful friend, and he's been a mentor in the astrology world for me for some time since I came into this conscious world of spirituality and all this great stuff. He was actually the first person that introduced me to astrology, gave me a reading when I was like, no, I don't think that's okay. Just coming out of the church trying to get my feet wet. I got offered a natal reading so that I can see my placements because at the time, yeah, I was one of those people that only, went by my sun sign, right? So that opened so much of, so much for me. It opened a whole new different world in me understanding who I am, what I'm here for, my purpose, and how to go about that. Just everything, right? Astrology has so many tools and resources and keys, and, it basically gives you the blueprint of your life. However, once again, I'm digressing. So, the analogy that I am going to use to really explain this retrograde, right? So Ampu described it as, picture you're about to do a drive by, or a car is about to do a drive by, right? So first, the car pulls up to the neighborhood or pulls up to the block, right? And it goes, it goes slowly, and it's kind of it's kind of checking out the neighborhood, it's casing the joint, it's checking out the scene to see what's going on, and it's just doing its research and it's going along, so it's checking it out, it's checking out the scene, right? And now this car gets to a certain point at the block, right? And then it goes backwards, right? The car reverses, right? The car reverses, that's the retrograde, all right? So now the car reverses and it does its drive by, right? It's shooting up the place, right? Now, when this car gets to the point that it needs to get, when it's done its due diligence in shooting up the place and shooting up the block, all right? It stops at that spot where it feels like, you know what? Yeah, I did what I came to do. Then it starts moving forward again. The car starts moving forward again, all right? And when that car now gets to the original place that that it was before it reversed or before it decided to go backwards, that is the shadow period, right? So now, right? So we pull up on the block, we're casing out, we're casing out the joint, all right? And we're observing, and we, and we're seeing who's outside, right? Let me see who's outside. So we check it out, right? And then we get to a certain point now where where we're satisfied with with what we see, and then we decide it's time to reverse. It's time to go back now and do what we came to do. So now we reverse. The shootout happens. It's the retrograde. Now when we start moving forward, we're in the shadow period, and it's not until the car gets back to the original place at which it backed up, that's when we're out of the shadow period. So now when we get to the original place to which we decided to reverse the car, now the planet is moving forward because now it already came out of that place of the shadow where it originally backed up. So now we're clear of all of that. So now we're clear of the block, right? Shout out to Ampu. But anyway, so that's my best version. I hope this helps of what a retrograde, you know, really signifies, right? So let's talk about these different planets now that have been in retrograde or are currently in retrograde. So we first talked about Venus. Venus, Venus's retrograde happened in the sign of Leo, right? Leo is the aspect of us, Leo is the aspect of us that governs our vitality, our confidence, and self love, right? So Venus is the planet of love and beauty. So you may be affected, or you might have been affected with your outlook and appearance during this time or during the time of the retrograde, right? So at the end of the day, so Venus, like I said, it also rules over our money, the things we love, beauty, and all those things. And Leo being that's the sign of confidence, the heart, the sign that rules our heart, right? Unconditional love, self-love, right? Confidence, vitality, all those wonderful things. Those two planets coming together now gave us a chance to go back and really see, like, are we expressing the appearance that we really, that feels true to our nature? Are we spending our money on the things that bring us joy, right? Is it bringing us true joy? Is it bringing us, so being that retrograde phase gave us the opportunity to go back. And what retrogrades do is it gives us the opportunity to really, it's a second chance. It gives us the opportunity to really go back and make a different choice, or it gives us the chance to reflect on our choices, to reflect on what's currently happening in our lives, or reflect on, like it may bring up things that we struggle with in the past, or we may have made a choice that is not so much in alignment with our true nature, with our true selves, with our higher selves. So the retrograde gives us the opportunity now to it brings those things back up, giving us the opportunity to make a different choice, a better choice, right? So that's the love of retrogrades. Although it seems to kind of put things in a chaotic place, or bring chaos, or bring things that we don't expect, the unexpected, and all that wonderful stuff, it's really a chance for us to reflect, sit back, right? Just be still. It gives us a chance to be still and now really hone in on our true nature and see or reflect on whether our choices are in alignment with our true nature, with our true selves, right? So that's the beauty of retrogrades. Although most of us get off kilter because yes, it does stir up some stuff. It does it does stir up some stuff. It brings up stuff that we really need to take a long, hard look at, so that we can move in a different direction. All right. So that was the Venus retrograde that was in Leo, giving us a chance to see how we can save money, see how we can make better choices as far as our money, how we make money, how we spend money, how we save money, how we invest, all those wonderful things. A look at our appearance. Are we feeling like our best selves? Does our appearance now relate what it is that we're feeling inside? Does our appearance, are we loving on ourselves? Are we practicing self care? Are we practicing all the wonderful things that is going to keep us and bring us and keep us in alignment with our higher selves, right? We're also just getting over the Mercury retrograde. That was, like I said, from August 23rd to September 15th. The Mercury retrograde usually happens about 3 to 4 times a year. So that is the most popular one that most of us are aware of. Those of us who are in awareness of retrogrades, that is the most common one because it happens it happens more time throughout the year than any other planet. So Mercury retrogrades be keeping us on our toes, y'all. Let me tell you. All right, this last one was a banger for me, of course, as I already said in the beginning of the video. Um, so yeah, with that happening, we know, well, most of us who do know about Mercury tends to affect travel, transportation, communication, definitely communication. Oh my goodness. And technology, right? It is said that we do not make any permanent decisions during a Mercury retrograde. Do not sign any contracts during a Mercury retrograde. Back up your computer, back up your technology, back up your electronics, because there is a great chance of your computer, your technology shutting down, your files and stuff being lost. Communication is misconstrued. All right. So communication that happens during a Mercury retrograde, we actually need to really think about what we're saying. All right. If we're reading, life goes on, right? So if there is an instance where we have no choice but to sign this contract, right? You get a job offer and it's the Mercury retrograde, and this is a job that you kind of been wanting, right? I'm not going to say don't sign the contract, but I would advise that you reread that contract a few times. Read that contract repeatedly to make sure that all the fine print is according to your benefit, and just read and reread and reread again. Okay, we may find technology slows down. We may find things go haywire in that space, right? So Mercury was retrograde in the sign of Virgo, right? Virgo is known as the star sign for being the most detail oriented, right? We all know Virgos love their details, organization, all right? They're orderly, they're precise, detail oriented, right? So the Mercury retrograde could have been a struggle in your daily routine, right? Your daily habits, or your habits, period, right? Work and chores, all right? You may have found that there's some, that there may have been some disruption in those areas, right? So, yeah, it was definitely a struggle with the daily routine for me. Um in all of it, the habits, work and chores, all of it. Okay, it was a struggle for me this retrograde, but I really this last Mercury retrograde, but I really got the chance to really sit down. A few things that came up in the past or happened in the past came up for me again, and it really gave me this time, like, I really sat back and really had the opportunity to make a different choice and to really go with the choices that are in alignment with my best good. So I'm grateful. Like I tend to welcome the Mercury retrograde because, like I said, it's a real opportunity. Like if you look at it as more of an opportunity, as more of a blessing, as more of a second chance, think about it as the universe giving you a second chance, a do-over. You understand? To do something that you may not have, that may not have been your best option or your best choice. It's coming back again to give you the opportunity to make a different choice. So that's a blessing, you know. And what's the word? With with the Mercury retrograde um happening in the sign of Virgo, it's this, yeah. So like I said, we may have battled with our day-to-day activities and different things like that. However, that was a sign, or that was, the universe a blessing to show you that, hey, this is off balance and this is off kilter. So what are you going to do to bring that into balance, or to, you know to to have a safe time, or a smooth time, or a smooth process with whatever it is, as far as your routines, your habits, your work. How is it that you're going to rearrange things, or your day, to work in, to work in, in synchronicity with what it is that you are doing, right? Then we have the Pluto retrograde. The Pluto retrograde. Pluto is Pluto is I love Pluto, all right? I'm a Scorpio moon, all right? And Pluto rules that, right? Pluto rules Scorpio, and Pluto is that planet of transformation and death, death and transformation, um, going into the depths of the depth. And yeah, so this Pluto retrograde is a pretty long one, has been a long one. Like I said, Pluto's been in retrograde since May 11th or May 10th, and it's not going direct until October 21st or 22nd, depending on what part of the world you're in. So, with the Pluto retrograde being a lengthy one, um, it is it is your celestial invitation to reclaim your personal power and prioritize purpose. You know, prioritize your purpose-driven actions. Just taking the time each day to slow down and work with what you want, to be saying yes and no to live your life for you. Okay? There you go. All right? I would say all the signs are affected by this Pluto retrograde, right? Different retrogrades, different planets being in retrogrades affect different signs more or less. All right. It may have more of an impact on a particular sign than on the other. Like for example, with the Mercury retrograde, I would say the signs that would be more impacted. I mean, all the signs got impacted, but the signs that would be more impacted would be Gemini and Virgo, because those planets are ruled by Mercury, right? With the Venus retrograde, I would say the signs that would be more affected would be Taurus, Libra, of course Leo, because it's in, because it was happening in Leo, as well as Aquarius, because Aquarius is the opposite sign to Leo. So yeah, I mean, astrology is great and beautiful once you kind of have the concept of what it is, of how it works. Then it could help you so much, and it could propel you so as far as whether or not you're on track, as far as being in alignment with what you are here to do or how you're here to grow. Okay. So yeah, all the signs got in, I would say all the signs got hit um, with a huge magnitude with this Pluto retrograde, right? Saturn retrograde from June 17th to November 3rd, more or less. Um, Saturn retrograde is in Pisces. Okay, it's currently happening. And at this time, this calls for a spiritual review, right? As we know, Saturn is the father man. Saturn is the daddy, the granddaddy, whatever you want to call him. Or is it Uranus is the granddaddy? But Saturn is the father. Saturn is strict. Saturn is structure. Saturn, mm, yeah. So there's a lot that Saturn, wants to see before Saturn can let up. Like Saturn wants to see that we are disciplined, that we are structured, that we respect structure, we respect um we have discipline in our lives, right? So the Saturn retrograde in Pisces gives us the opportunity to now review our lives on a spiritual level, right? Our inner healing, how much work we have to do, how much work we've done, just celebrating the inner work we've done, and letting go of any limiting beliefs that we may still be holding on to, right? Saturn, being in retrograde gives us a chance to create new belief systems, right? Create new BS. And this is the good BS, right? We don't want to have belief systems we don't want to have BS that's BS. We want to have belief systems that are actually in alignment with the truth. All right, with universal truth, with universal facts, with universal law. Okay? So it's about letting go of any limiting beliefs that we have declared upon our lives. Okay? Let go of those beliefs because they're not true. Those are beliefs that we created because, to protect ourselves, right? Because we experienced something traumatic. So now we created those limiting beliefs to make our traumatized selves feel better, or to, what's the word? When we're traumatized, like for example, I would say, okay, you know what? Due to a trauma, I created this limiting belief that I'm unworthy, I'm not good enough. Okay? That's not true. All right? According to universal law, that's not factual. Okay? So, it's about now, and I created that because whatever traumatized me led me to create that, to make me feel like, you know what, this happened to me because I'm unworthy. This happened to me because I'm not good enough. This happened to me because I don't deserve great things in life, right? And those are the belief systems, or those are the limiting beliefs that we allow to, to be at the forefront of our lives, right? However, we have to tell ourselves these are not true. These are not true, and those are not facts. So letting go of all of that, right? That's what Saturn is here to help us do during this retrograde period. Okay? So yeah, that's why I said I love the retrogrades, because it's a true blessing from the universe to give us that second chance, man, to allow us to just do it over, to allow us to do it better, bigger and better. Okay? And I would say that Saturn, or this retrograde in Saturn, the planets or the signs that are most impacted would be Capricorn and Pisces. Okay, because Saturn rules Capricorn, and some people, would say it rules Pisces, or it was the former ruler of Pisces, or something of that nature. All right, so Yeah, those are the most affected signs by that retrograde. Um, to keep it moving along, we now will talk about the Neptune retrograde, which was happening from that famous special beautiful day, June 30th, up until December 5th or 6th. Like, like I said, once again, depending on what part of the world you are in. Neptune retrograde is currently in Pisces, and it will see your intuition and spiritual connectedness heighten. Woohoo! Isn't that beautiful? Right? But guess what? This will only happen if you're open to it. All right? You have to welcome it. You have to be open to receive those, the spiritual heightens. You have to be open to receive being connected to your higher self, being connected, and your heart has to be open to receive those energies, connecting to your higher self, connecting to your intuition, knowing that the abundance of the universe flows within you and you are abundant. All right? You have to hone in to those energies. You have to align with the universal laws, all right? In now Neptune blessing you with the higher consciousness, because that's what Neptune rules, right? And it's so funny. Neptune is retrograding in Pisces. That's the natural ruler of Pisces. Neptune is the natural ruler of Pisces, and Neptune is all about the unseen, right? Mystical, right? Spirituality, okay? Neptune, rules over Pisces and the 12th house. So we know, the 12th house is about spirituality, it's about the mystics, it's about the unseen, what is beyond the veil, right? So Neptune is the bringer of the veil. Okay? Um of course, the Neptune retrograde, I would say, of course, affects Pisces. Um, this is a good space, I would say, to this is a good space. This Neptune retrograde is good for healing and practice, healing within, healing any inner trauma, childhood trauma that may still be triggering you or still bring up upsets, right? So this is a good time for healing whatever needs to be healed, and also practicing mindfulness, staying aware, and engaging in creative pursuits, right? So yes, Neptune is all about creativity. Um, yes, how we create and all that wonderful stuff. I'm taken aback because I'm just realizing myself that at this time, the universe is definitely blessing us, and we should definitely be open to these blessings and hone in and really um really be open to the benefit of what this is going to do and how this is going to propel even humanity, the collective as a whole, on another level of awareness and spiritual growth and evolution. It's beautiful, right? So let's go into Jupiter. And, Jupiter is already in retrograde, is currently in retrograde from September 4th to December 30th, give or take a day or two, um, depending on where you are in the world. Jupiter will have its retrograde in the sign of Taurus, or Jupiter is retrograding in the sign of Taurus. This one encourages people to look at their self worth, right? Mm, mm, mm. Now, Taurus is, one of the rulers of money. Venus rules Taurus, so we spoke about the attributes of Venus and what Venus rules in our lives, right? So we could liken that to Taurus as well, because Venus rules over Taurus. So, take a look at your self-worth and what you are reflecting, right? Do you feel worthy? How's your self-worth? How is all the things that adds up to you feeling worthy, as far as your self-awareness, your, you know, self-respect, self-esteem, all those wonderful things, self-care that contribute to your self-worth. Okay? Knowing that you are worthy just by being a part of this collective. That's all it takes to be worthy. All right? Knowing the fact that you're here, having this life experience, it makes you worthy. Okay? That's the only standards and qualifications needed for self-worth. So, um I would say at this time, with this Jupiter retrograde, and Jupiter is the planet of expansion, the planet of growth, the planet of, Jupiter is the biggest planet, and Jupiter expands everything that it touches, right? So, all right. So with Jupiter being in retrograde now, it gives us the chance now, we're urged to reflect on values. All right. We're urged to reflect on the values that are important to us and how to align them, right? With our goals, and set goals that are, set goals and work. Set goals and get to work by doing just one small thing at a time. All right? Giving yourself grace, giving yourself compassion, having self compassion, having self grace. All right? Having that unconditional love for self. Okay? Allowing yourself the grace to do one thing at a time. Okay? And this is how this retrograde will work for you. Okay? Open up to allow the blessings of Jupiter, the expansion, the growth to, to reflect on your self-worth, okay? And allowing yourself to just get creative, okay? Creative towards your goals, towards manifesting your goals by doing one thing at a time, focusing on one thing at a time, not being, not doing too many things at one time, not having your hand in too many pots, and, be be a master, be a master of what it is that you create, and not a jack of all trades for the most part, which is what I'm getting here. This, of course, affects Taurus and Sagittarius the most. Okay. All right, and last but not least, we have Uranus, or or Uranus, or Uranus, whatever. There's so many different pronunciations, and of course, you know, I pronounce it Uranus, and I don't know if that's the standard, but that's how I pronounce it. But either way, the last but not least planet that is in retrograde is currently in retrograde from August 29th or August 28th up until January 26th or 27th, depending on what part of the world you're in. All right, this one, this retrograde in Uranus goes into the new year. All right. And it's a pretty long one as well. This retrograde happens in the sign of Taurus. As we may or may not know, Uranus is the planet of rebellion. Uranus is the rebellion. Uranus may be the grandfather that just wants to rebel and do its own thing. Uranus does not like to be restricted. Uranus likes freedom. Uranus likes, I would say, to go against the grain, right? So this period of Uranus being in retrograde It represents a transformative period where we are urged to break free from stagnant routines. You see? Go against the grain, right? Be spontaneous. Uranus also rules spontaneity. Look, we know what the word spontaneous actions, right? This one represents, yeah, the transformative period where we're breaking free, okay, from the stagnant routines that we have developed. We embrace change and revolt. Yes, that's what Uranus does. It revolts. So we embrace the change and we revolt against what isn't working for us in our everyday lives. That's Uranus. It loves that. It loves us to go against the grain. It loves us to be spontaneous. It loves us to take risks. That's a planet of risks. Um, yeah, it's the rebel. Is the rebel. So this this energy, this retrograde in Uranus, this one will affect all of the star signs. Okay. So we have talked about the retrograde. We have talked about all the planets that have been in retrograde this year or are currently in retrograde. We talked about what the retrograde means. For those of us who are not too familiar with the retrogrades, I would suggest that we get familiar with retrogrades because it is a real guide, okay, for how we can now do things differently in our lives moving forward and yeah, be better, okay? It gives us the chance to do something over. It's a great blessing. It allows us to really get a do over in whatever it is that we need. Whatever it is that we need at the time of a retrograde, it comes up for us, right? That's also a blessing. It comes up. We don't have to search for it, we don't have to look for it. That crap is going to come up, and, so that we can deal with it. And hey, if it is that we haven't learned or that we haven't made the choice that is in alignment with our highest good, guess what? It's going to come back around in the next retrograde so that you can deal with then. All right. So it's like, you know what? The lessons are going to keep coming up until we learn them the way we're meant to learn them. All right. So, yeah, once again, thank you for sharing this wonderful Transformation Tuesday with me. It's great to be back. I missed y'all. My name is Sanchia. I am your spiritual teacher, transcendence coach, healing, intuitive, transformation guide. All right. I'm also your writer. All right. I am going to, you know, I'm in the midst of writing some awesome stuff that will be published through my blog, Divine Dosage, and as well as my podcast, right? I will be doing some great shows. I'll be releasing some great podcasts that are coming soon to a podcast outlet near you. The podcast is also Divine Dosage, the same as this YouTube channel. So, yes, all those publications are the same: Divine Dosage, blog, podcast, YouTube channel. We're also on all social media outlets such as Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and all the things. Okay. And Divine Dosage is a part of the bigger brand, or they work alongside one another. Phoenix Vibrations is the mother company where you will find all my coaching material, and that's where you'll also find the Divine Dosage blog is on that website, or you could just go to Divine Dosage, that the Divine Dosage URL directly, or you can find it through Phoenix Vibrations. Um, yeah, look out for the book, my first book that will be coming out soon. Heal the woman, or heal the feminine, heal the planet, heal the woman, heal the world. whichever one, all right? But the actual title, Heal the Feminine, Heal the Planet, How to Heal and Overcome Your Trauma to Empowerment. I'm talking about so many things. I gave that book my all. I put it all on the line. I am vulnerable and I am as transparent could be. I am giving you guys all the tea on a lot of, I get into details of the traumas that I've been through in my life and how I have worked to heal from them. Some of them I'm still healing through. As we know, healing is a lifetime process, a lifetime journey. However, yes, so all the things are there. So yeah, see me or catch me on phoenixvibrations.com, the divinedosage.com, all the social, Phoenix Vibrations is also on all the social media outlets. All right. And yeah, I will see you guys soon next Tuesday. I said on my last Transformation Tuesday video that I'm thinking about doing some everyday stuff like Manifestation Mondays. We got the Transformation Tuesdays, Wisdom Wednesdays, Thoughtful Thursdays, or Thriving Thursdays, right? We'll do Freedom Fridays or Favored Fridays. I don't know. But whatever it is, man, I'm here. All right. I love you guys. Thank you for joining me. I will see you soon. Peace out.